Alright, BobalosRex here. And this is a lore rant, but this is also possibly the beginning of a new series where I read from the Chronicles and try to maybe play devil's advocate against what the Titans have to say about the cosmos and whatnot in the universe, using some new lore we got, maybe sorting out some of the changes that we've seen since the Chronicles has come out. We are getting a new Chronicles this year. I'm excited for that. And in this first one, I'm actually going to be talking about the cosmos, which we all saw the thing where it was like the original Cosmos chart. Oh my god, you can barely see here. Let me fix the light. I had a different light. Yeah, so we had the original Cosmos. I mean, you can look up this chart online. I don't want to hurt my book. And then Grimoire of the Shadowlands gave us a different one. Where was it? What page was it on? It was a whole big page. Yeah, it was a whole one page. The new one. Where death and life were central. Which really begs the question, what cosmic force did come first? Now, in this book, we're going to see it from the Titans' viewpoint, or at least the viewpoint that they want to share with us. Alright, who wrote this in-game? What lore character? We don't know. We do actually know what in-game character wrote, that there was an in-game character that gave us this info. But it is interesting. I think it's thought to be Medivh that wrote these. But let's get into it. My rogue's here in another secret library. You know, where we saw another book that was talked about from a different perspective. And that's the thing. The point of this series is me looking at the Chronicles and trying to look at it from a different perspective. In a way. Well, we'll see. I'm going to try to transform this book so it's not just a pure read of this, but I am going to be reading. So, Introduction, Cosmology. Azeroth is but one small world in a vast universe, a realm filled with potent magics and mighty beings. We already know this is wrong. We're in a multiverse. Time rifts prove the multiverse theory. But let's continue. Since the dawn of time, these forces have influenced Azeroth and the surrounding cosmos, setting the stars in motion and shaping the destiny of countless worlds and mortal civilizations. The cosmic forces. And these cosmic forces here, I'll go over the chart. So we got at the top, holy light. So in the Titans view, the Titans chart tries to make everything seem equal. And then I'll talk about the Grimoires, which doesn't do that. But this one does try to equalize them. So we have at the top the light, holy magic, and the Naru. To the left, the top left, you have life, nature, and then the wild gods. And then to the top right, you have disorder, fel, and the burning legion. You know, the big cosmology chart. We got spirit, fire, water, emerald, dream, reality, shadowlands, air. Okay, here. You can look at the chart. Here, can I pull up? I'm gonna pull up the chart that we're talking about. Yeah. I feel like this is... does this have credit to the artist? There's a really good one. I just wanted to have credit. Okay, so this is art done by a Redditor named Tala. But here, we'll bring this up. This is too cool. I want to show this off. But full credits to them, though. This is amazing. Look at that. Alright. So this is the cosmology chart. This is the main topic for today's video. The cosmology. This is what we're... So as you see, Light, Holy Naru. This is the Titans cosmology chart. Remember that. The Grimoire has it different. I'm going to be using info from it. Because here's the thing, right? All of these 6 cosmic forces, and we're going to read about it in a second, have a trait linked to them, but it's a trait that some of the other forces have, in my view, as a secondary thing. And we start to see links between the different powers. And then that's why when we see the Grimoire cosmology, they switch the place of some of these. Because each of these, I think, have a connection to each other. You have the forces that are complete opposites. They don't really have a connection, as they are complete opposites. But the connection is they are complete opposites. If you get my meaning. Like, their dichotomy is what gives them the link. And then they share stuff with that. And then this one shares stuff with the other ones. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So let's get into it. Back to the Chronicles. The cosmic forces. Light and shadow. They start with light and shadow. Light and shadow are the most fundamental forces in existence. Although contradictory by their very nature, they are bound together on a cosmic scale. One cannot exist without the other. See, they are connected. They are connected, even though they are complete opposites. They are connected as a force. All these forces have a connection. Pure light and shadow dwell in a realm outside the borders of reality, but shades of their presence are found in the physical universe. Light manifests as holy magic, while shadow, also referred to as the void, appears as shadow magic. Alright, so in the beginning, there was light, and there was shadow. Alright, well, we will get to that. Next, life and death. Life and death. The forces of life and death hold sway over every living thing in the physical universe. The energies of life, known commonly as nature magic, promote growth and renewal in all things. Death, in the form of necrotic magic, acts as a counterbalance to life, as an unavoidable force that breeds despair in mortal hearts and pushes everything towards a state of entropic decay and eventual oblivion. Death has a lot to it. They make death spooky. They're like, death is evil, and yet when we take a look at this book, they're like, yo, everything has to die, and then you go to the Shadowlands and you get to do a whole ton of stuff. So we can see how there is a framing of this book, and I think when they made this, they overall made stuff big enough so that we could see some of the newer stuff, and that is why I'm super hyped for Chronicles 4, because Chronicles 4, they're going to be working with updated info. I'm hyped. I'm always hyped. Some people, I am having a good time with this lore. FYI. I am going to be playing Counterbalance, but I have a good time with WoW lore. And I'm not coming at this any mean way against the lore. Alright. So, they frame light and shadow, and then they have life and death. Alright. Next up, Order and disorder. The forces of order and disorder govern the cosmic systems of the physical physical universe. Order is most commonly perceived in reality as arcane magic. This type of energy, now see, it's perceived as arcane magic, but they are using order as that new cosmic light looking light. They have arcane now, but we are seeing a different color of order magic in Dragonflight. Just we know that that's changing. This type of energy is innately volatile, and wielding it requires immense precision and concentration. Conversely, disorder is manifested as highly destructive fell magic. This brutal and extremely addictive energy is fueled by drawing life from living beings. And here's the thing. Order is commonly perceived in reality as arcane magic. The way they frame order, and I used to think this, is order is like all of the elemental magics. Like, I always thought of arcane and order magic to be like matter. Like how matter is brought together and ordered. And then disorder magic would be like the antimatter, but we don't really see matter and antimatter and that kind of stuff in the WoW universe. But that's how I used to think about it. But now there seems to be some extra stuff going on. And we'll talk about that when we get to our next part, the elements. But again, so the Titans have these two. If this part of the book, this is the brown, the intro section here, and then they have the mythos start. Is if this section is intended to be like written by the WoW story creators, I guess it would have been Metzen at the time still. And now he's back. So this may be coming from their perspective, and that's why we see a lot of vagueness here. And then when we start the actual mythos, that's when we get into more. But they order it light, shadow, life, death, and then once we get living beings, we see order and disorder. So I was wondering how to order this, and I think I may have been ordering it. We always see light and shadow first. But then I was thinking maybe order comes first and disorder, because we see the physical plane and the twisting nether created by the clashing of light and shadow. But it does seem like order may have its own realm. So that may not be the case. And then maybe we see light and shadow come first according to the Titans, and then they see life and death, and then order and disorder according to them. But maybe all of these forces kind of started at the same time. But instead of being framed as light and shadow coming first. Like I said. Well, let's see here. Interesting. I'm looking at these parts. These look cool. This art is really good, dude. Okay, let's talk about the elements. Because look at this. 6, 6. And then we know old boy Fareem talked about a 7th. Something on the outside. Something beyond. Because here we see 6. Reality. These elements manifest in reality. So it's 6. Reality. 6. Is there something outside here? We are learning things. But we'll have to see how deep it goes. Alright, so let's talk about the elements. The elements of fire, air, earth, and water serve as the basic building blocks of all matter. Okay, we got matter. And the physical universe. Shamanic cultures have long sought to live in harmony with or assert dominion over the elements. To do so, they call upon the primordial forces of spirit and decay. Those who seek to bring balance to the elements rely on spirit, sometimes referred to as the 5th element by shaman or chi by monks. This life-giving force interconnects and binds all things in existence as one, is the force. Decay is the tool of shamans seeking to subjugate and weaponize the elements themselves. Alright. You know how I said we really only see the elements manifest in reality? Like, if we look back at the Shadowlands, you saw light and stuff come up. But a lot of stuff was just decay. I guess we saw some fire and air and stuff, but you didn't really see a lot of these elements. Think about... I guess there was a few places with some water, but there wasn't much water, and the water was usually weird. Alright, when you really think about it. But we see the elements really manifest in the physical realm, and I think we can see connections to elements and the cosmic forces. Like, spirit has a huge connection with nature. Alright? Order, Titan world souls are on planets, Earth, and there's something to be said there of a connection to Earth. Water, I think, has a lot of connections with the void. You know, you can see a lot of connections with water. Light has a lot of connections with fire, in my mind. And then that would match the water versus shadow. And then disorder, we could have air, and then obviously decay. But let's go over the elemental dualities, and then I'll talk about some more about the cosmic forces and what I see connecting them. And then we'll move on to the next section. So, elemental duality. Many shamanic cultures have discovered that the elements can influence a variety of emotional states. For this reason, mortals often associate the elements with different feelings, both positive and negative. So again, I'm associating feelings. So, what is one thing that describes the light on a cosmic scale? Alright. Oh, I didn't. You know what? I don't know if I had a good one. But let's read these elements again. I'm going to go through the elements real quick, and then we'll get to the other point I'm going to make in a second. So, fire, positive trait, passion, negative trait, fury. Oh my god! Light, positive trait, passion. You know, faith. Negative trait, fury. The fury of the light. What did they try to do to Illidan? Light's wrath. We see a connection of holy and disorder. The Legion are pretty wrathful too. Alright, and then we look over here in the Grimoire. What do we have next to each other in this Grimoire? Oh, I lost the page. There it is. We see light, again, right next to disorder, and death. What would light have in common with death? But let's go through the other elements. I see a big connection between fire and light there. Earth, positive traits. Let's look over Earth. Positive traits. Stability, unity, order. Interesting. This book only says stability. I'm adding the extra words. Negative trait, stubbornness. Interesting. I would say some Titans are stubborn. Alright. Okay, let's go over to spirit now. Bravery. Okay. That could be used to describe life. Naivete. Alright. Xalatath has called Elune an upstart goddess. You know, people have tried. I think the Void has tried to frame life as naive too. Interesting. Alright, let's go to air. Air. Cunning. Okay. Madness. Interesting. Interesting. That could be disorder. That could be void. Okay. See? Now we're getting a little bit more vague. Water. Tranquility. Alright, that doesn't sound like the void. Negative trait. Indecisiveness. That kind of sounds like the void. Now decay. Efficiency. Ruthlessness. Alright, that kind of paints a picture of death. Now let's talk about these links between the elements, okay? So, order is about order. But we do see some other forces like having order to them, maybe secondary. Light is about faith, passion, justice, all that kind of stuff. Order and light have that in common. Light has order in common. So we clearly see a lot of connections here. Alright? Well, the light, actually, maybe the passion isn't as much here, but we'll talk about this. So, we got an order connection with light and order. And then death kind of likes keeping things in order, too. So, we do see a connection, and it does show up in this one, I believe. We see the connection, like I already talked about, with light and death. Or light, yeah, light and death. Light is right here. Order is also right next to death. So, according to the brokers, they see light, order, and death as kind of similar. And I can see it too. They like things ordered in their realms. You know, in their Xeraths, we may find out. Okay? So what kind of things does life, disorder, and death have in common? Well, here, let's talk about it. I lost it. There it is. So, then we see here, life, disorder, and void. So, clearly, we know what's in common here. Basically, anarchy. So, you got order, disorder. Life, chaotic. Void, chaotic. Disorder, chaotic. Order, order, order. Okay? Now, what do these three have in common? Let's think about it. Passion. Passion. They're passionate for the cause. All these are kind of like the burning, the passionate powers, right? Light wants to grow. Light wants to spread. Disorder wants to just burn as well. Wants to spread as well. Okay? Order wants to... Oh, okay. Yes. No. Light. Order uses death. Death uses death. And the void uses death all the time. So we see a life connection between these. Somewhat of a death connection here. And we see... Man, because we see death here. We see death used here. Like I said, I can connect all of these to each other in some ways. Like, that's the whole point of this. Right? You can see this... It's weird. Because you see... The Titans later on... I was reading ahead in the Chronicles. The Titans use death a lot. Alright? But... Let's just say these three are pro-death. These three are pro-life. Okay. These three are very... like to spread. Okay. These three like to control. What do these three got? What do the Titans and the Void Lords have in common? Void Lords don't like to control. I mean, they do mind control, but I mean, they're basically chaos rings. That's antithetical to the order. They prefer the light. All right. That's why I say they do seem to like death a lot. As a way to pull things they don't not approve of. Um, I don't know. I don't know. That one I feel hard with. I feel like it's a hard one. But let us continue. I've dwelled on this point for long enough. But I do find it interesting, like I said, of how we see these groups and how you can read connections between all the forces. And then the interesting part here is in this one, they have water closer to void, earth next to order, fire next to disorder, and then air next to the light. So I do find that interesting. All my other ones match except for the light and the disorder switch. But now let's talk about the realms of existence and some of the stuff we've seen going on. So there is the Great Dark Beyond. The Great Dark Beyond represents the physical universe. It is the infinite living realm composed of innumerable stars, worlds, and mortal civilizations. Azeroth, the world of Warcraft, is merely one of the countless worlds drifting through the vast reaches of the Great Dark Beyond. Great Dark Beyond, WoW space. The Twisting Nether. The Twisting Nether is an astral dimension that lies in parallel with the Great Dark Beyond. The forces of light and void bleed together at the boundaries of the Twisting Nether, engulfing the realm in perpetual strife. At times, the volatile magics that pervade the Twisting Nether intrude upon the physical universe, warping reality beyond measure. There used to be what people described as the Legion was above all time. That is no longer the case. So, as we know it, there is reality, and then there is the Twisting Nether, as the Titans tell us. But we also know the Titans have a home world. Is that also through the explosive power of light and shadow, or not? Is it its own thing? Is the Twisting Nether have its own central realm? Because one of the things I think we've seen with the Emerald Dream and the Shadowlands, actually we're about to get to those, so let's get to the Emerald Dream. The Emerald Dream is an ethereal realm of spirits and untamed nature that exists alongside the world of Azeroth. Incredible beings known as the Keepers forged the Emerald Dream to act as a map for the evolutionary path of Azeroth's flora and fauna. The two realms are bound as one. As life ebbs and flows across the physical world, the spiritual energies that saturate the Emerald Dream keep pace with it. Although tied to the physical world, the Emerald Dream is a place that most mortal minds would find alien and surreal. But some of those minds, by channeling druidic magic, can enter a state of dreaming and consciously navigate the Emerald Dream. Their thoughts can also shape and influence portions of this verdant spirit realm, but the imprint that these dreamers leave behind is never permanent. In the dreamways, time and distance are mutable. Spirits flow like living winds through the lush tracts of constantly shifting primordial woodlands. What appears tangible one moment becomes intangible the next. Seemingly impermeable landmarks transform in the blink of an eye. Alright. In this realm, time and space don't work the same. Or time and distance, time and space. We've also learned in the Shadowlands, time and space work differently. We've learned in the Twisting Nether, time and space work differently in the Twisting Nether. So, We see a realm link with this. We see a realm link with this. We see a realm link with this. We also see a realm of the old gods. I'd assume, I don't know how long we spent in Nyalotha, but how much you bet? Time and space work differently in the Sleeping City. And then that would leave those. Is there a light realm? Is there an order realm? But let's read the Shadowlands real quick, and then we'll talk about the realms of WoW. Like the Emerald Dream, the Shadowlands are tangentially linked to the world of Azeroth. Yet where the Emerald Dream represents life, the Shadowlands represent death. There are nightmarish realms of decay, labyrinthine spiritual planes, teeming with the souls of the dead who have passed from the world of the living. The origins of the Shadowland remain uncertain, not anymore. They have existed ever since mortal life first arose in the physical universe. Many believe that mortal souls are drawn into the dark places at the point of death, where they remain forever after. Still others hope that the souls will go into a brighter place, rather than languish for eternity within the cold confines of the Shadowlands. So, let's get into it. The way I understand this, and I'm going to make it as clear as possible, the way I understand this, there is our reality in WoW. There is the Emerald Dream, and there is the Shadowlands. And from what I've seen in-game, we have physical Azeroth. Then we have green mode. Green mode Azeroth. Emerald Dream. Which is Azeroth minus buildings. Except for the Eye of Ysera. Okay. But then the Emerald Dream is connected to the Dream Realm, the Lifelands, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so that's green Azeroth. Then we have Shadow Azeroth. Shadow Azeroth. How I understand it is the planes, these dimensional planes, have planet versions that are near these collections of spirits, right? So there's Shadow Azeroth, right? Shadowlands Azeroth. And then from there, this is how I've understood it, according to Shadowlands. The Shadow version of Azeroth is where the Kyrian take people and then bring them to the Machines of Death, aka Orbos, and then they go into the afterlives. Because the way I see it, okay, this is how I'm seeing it. Okay, I could be wrong. But yeah, so there's an Azeroth, then there's a green mode, and then a shadow mode. And then these shadow realms and green realms are connected to the Lifelands and the Shadowlands respectively. And then those planes are larger, basically, right? So Azeroth would have an Emerald Dream version, a Shadow version, and then there's connectors to the main Shadowlands and the main Lifelands, or the main Central Emerald Dream. Because time and space works differently there. It doesn't work like we have planets. They just have... we saw it in the Shadowlands. You zoom through cosmic mist, and then you end up in a floating sack of flesh. Or you zoom through cosmic mist, and now I'm in a realm of Elysian fields. I zoom through cosmic mist, time and space. I'd imagine for the Emerald Dream, instead of all the mist and the Devourers, it's green and butterflies. I don't know. But that's the way I see it. So the Ghost Shadowlands realm version of Azeroth still exists. And then Kyrian are who ferry the souls. And that's the weird part here. Because the denizens of the main Shadowlands don't see ghosts. Are ghost souls existing, running around the Shadow version of Azeroth? And then it seems like Kyrians may be the only ones that can go and make that jump, and they don't, because the dude in this book don't know ghosts exist. This book isn't saying ghosts don't exist. This book is saying he don't know ghosts exist, and we seen ghosts, or people been seeing shit. But I know I've seen a ghost. So that's how I see the realms. And then that would beg to do, like, is the twisting nether, maybe it's caused between the clashing of light and void, but I used to think reality was the order realm. And then that's why we see Titan seeds, but there may seem to be a different order realm. Possible. And then we'd see the twisting nether, and then the light realm. The light realm where people pull their faith from the light. I wonder what that would look like. And we'll talk about the Emerald Dream creation and more about that. But it does seem that planets have formed dream and shadow versions of themselves because of the life on them, is what I imagine is causing these things to form. Whereas we see the twisting nether as its own thing. We don't see a fell version of Azeroth. But maybe the Void Realms work like that, because they talk about Nyalotha as a version of Azeroth. So maybe there is a light and void version of each world. But that's how I understand the planes of existence. Very interesting, very cosmic. But now let's get into the denizens of the cosmos. Again, according to the type. The Void Lords. The Void Lords are monstrous entities composed of pure shadow energy. These beings are cruel and merciless beyond mortal comprehension. Driven by insatiable hunger, the Void Lords seek to devour all matter and energy in the physical universe. In the natural state, the Void Lords exist outside reality. Only the most powerful of these entities can manifest in the physical universe, and only for a limited amounts of time. To maintain their presence in reality, the Void Lords must consume untold amounts of matter and energy. They're the black holes. Right? They create. I guess they create. And then these all destroy, yeah. Alright, let's talk about the Naru. The Naru are benevolent creatures of living, holy energy. They are perhaps the purest expression of the light that exists in the great dark beyond. The Naru had vowed to bring peace and hope to all mortal civilizations and waylay the dark forces of the void that seek to engulf creation. But here's the thing. The Naru turn into Void Naru. The Naru have an innate connection with the void, which is very interesting. And if the Naru are the equivalent of the Void Lords, then they're basically saying whenever a Void Lord comes into reality, they will consume matter and then destroy themselves. But then do they turn into a Naru? Because we see Naru go bad, they turn into the Void, and then Naru can be turned good and come back. Have we seen a Void Lord turn light? That's the question. No. Because we see, when Dementius killed itself, he didn't turn light. He freaking... We beat him in the Void, or in the Twisting Nether and Outland, and then he just poofed. The Titans are colossal godlike... Okay, now we're on the Titans. The Titans are colossal godlike beings composed of the primordial matter from which the universe was born. And here's the interesting part, right? I do not think the Titans are natural order creations. I think Order got to the Titans first. I think Titans represent creatures of reality, mortal-like creatures. We see any critter that is from reality able to, you sprinkle a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you sprinkle it on them, they turn into that cosmic force. Everything in reality can be influenced by the cosmic forces. I think Order got to the Titans and started sprinkling them with Order, and the Titans are associated with Order. Because we see A&R sprinkled with a little life. She got a double dip, I think. Maybe one of the other dudes got a little bit of light, and that's why they're pro-light. We saw Argus. He was a Titan, but he was pumped with death. Became the Death Titan. Argus was this. He got pumped with Fel, became a new type of Titan. Interesting. Do we see a Void Lord pumped with light turn into a light? Hell no. The Naru we see shift. Let's look at the Eternal ones. The Kyrian. The Archon. Does she have some element in her? Maybe she had a little bit of light. And I don't think so. Denathris. He made the Dreadlords. They clearly death. They ain't disorder, so he ain't got nothing but death in them, apparently. The Primus. We all saw the Primus. We know what he's about. Jailer. The Winter Queen has a connection with life, but that's because they were doing some fancy stuff. Apparently, there's got to be a connection between these realms. Is there a connection between these two? There clearly has to be, because these two can't exist without each other. Do we see a connector between these two? The only connection we see between these two is the fact that one Titan was like, hold up, I'm going to take this Fel and do the opposite. Interesting. Alright. I blabbed about that. This is gone. I can talk a lot about this. The Burning Legion. The Burning Legion is the single most destructive force within the Great Dark Beyond. A force that did not exist before Sargeras. Or did it? Who was leading it? We know nothing about the Lords of Disorder. I would love to find out. It's Diablo. Alright, hold on. Destructive force within the Great Dark Beyond. The fallen Titan Sargeras created this vast demonic army to scour all creation. The Burning Legion moves from world to world, decimating everything in its path with devastating Fel magic. And here's the thing, remember, Sargeras was burning all of reality so that life could start anew. These guys are fine with using death, but they were using death to promote life. That's a connection between these three. These three. He knew the connection between death and life. He knew, I will kill everything, but life will come back. And the light fought him, so he hated the light. But he didn't start the beef with the light. The light went after him. He just wanted to destroy worlds. Alright. Light has a connection with death too, like I said. They like order. They like structure. Alright. No one knows exactly how many worlds in mortal civilization... Oh, wait, no. The Legion moves from world to world, decimating everything with destructive foment. No one knows exactly how many worlds and mortal civilizations the demons have annihilated in their unholy burning crusade. The demons that fill the ranks of the Burning Legion are highly resilient. Their spirits are tethered to the twisting nether, making them extraordinarily difficult to destroy permanently, even if a demon dies in the physical universe. Actually, we do see a denizen of another realm. We see Dreadlords that are made in the Death Realm leave the Death Realm and be able to imbue power from the other realms. I did just remember. Even if a demon dies in the physical universe, its spirit will return to the twisting nether and manifest into a corporeal form once again. To truly destroy a demon spirit, the creature must be killed in the twisting nether itself, in places that are in places where that volatile maelstrom bleeds into mortal worlds, or in areas inundated with the burning legion's energy. Alright, that's where we get the you gotta kill a demon in its own realm. I'd imagine it's the same thing. If death entities came out of the death realm, you ain't killing them in the death realm, their little woosy soul goes back to the death realm. We see that in regards to the life realm. You kill a wild god, where does it go? It goes to the Emerald Dream. Or it actually goes to the Shadowlands and into them. Apparently. Interesting. That's interesting. These die, they go there, then to there. Demons die, they go there. Or do they? Do they have to go here, then to there too? Everything that dies got to be sorted by the Shadowlands in a way. That's interesting. I don't think that's how it works, but I just realized that we now know these don't go directly there. They go here and then there. Alright. Oh, great. This is perfect. Old gods. The old gods are the physical manifestations of the void. They are nightmares incarnates, mountains of blighted flesh, and writhing tentacles that grow like cancers within the worlds of the Great Dark. These malignant entities serve the Void Lords, and they live only to transform the worlds they infest into places of despair and death. Here's where I'm starting to think Void Gods may be thinking for themselves. You know, with my recent theory, we know that the old gods work for the power of Void, but it's weird when you think about the old gods being against Xal'atath. So we're just going to sit on that right now. But it is very interesting. Alright? Or at least we're seeing the Void God, the old gods not be for what Dimensius has in store. Okay? Because the old gods, we'll talk about it there, but we know that the Void sent out the old gods, or at least that's what we're told. But you know what? We'll talk more about that. There's going to be more in the Chronicles. Wild gods. The wild gods are primal manifestations of life and nature. They are creatures of two realms. The wild gods inhabit the physical world of Azeroth, but their spirits are bound to the ethereal Emerald Dream. Many wild gods appear in the form of gargantuan animals such as wolves, bears, tigers, or birds. Here's the thing. We also see wild gods take the form of trolls. Huan-San, Uzala. They do work for death, but they operate as a wild god in a way. As we see, wild gods have to go to the realm of death. I wonder if there's more troll-like wild gods. But we do see a lot of the animal ones. And it's interesting, because you have this link. Emerald Dream, wild gods. Look at every wild god and look at the animals. On Azeroth, you can see a wild god directly linked to that animal. And I just now realized this. Think about all the critters we saw in Zereth Mortis. Spiders, wolves, frogs, wasps. We've seen wolves. We've seen frogs. The toads, Cragwa. We've seen Shadra. Clearly, death and life can influence critters. Alright? That's for dang sure. Alright, elemental spirits. The elemental spirits are primitive and chaotic beings of fire, earth, air, or water. There were some of the first sentient creatures to inhabit the nascent worlds of the waking universe. Confirmed. Elementals came first. Boom. Are the Titans giant elementals? Maybe? I don't know. Kinda. I mean, they walking world. But we'll get to that, and if I continue this series, we'll get to the Titans creation stuff. Let's finish talking about this cosmology. The elemental spirits appear in almost infinite variety of shapes and sizes. Each of these creatures has a distinct personality and temperament, traits that are heavily influenced by the spirit's elemental natures. Okay. Personalities? 100% confirmed. Dictated by your elemental spirit. Right? Right? If you're vibing with the earth, you stubborn. If you fire sign, you're an Aries, man. You're passionate. There you go. Well, that goes to show anything that's imbued with some elements gets some personality. The presence of the element. Okay, the presence of the fifth element, spirit, also affects the disposition of these elemental beings. A world with an overabundance of spirit may give rise to native elementals who are passive and lack physicality. Conversely, a world with too little spirit may birth elementals who are highly aggressive and incredibly destructive. Okay. Too much of spirit, weak and lack physicality, and passive. Too little, and they don't have decay linked to this. That's very interesting. I wonder how decay affects the world. We haven't seen a decay spirit. Really. But too little spirit may birth elementals who are highly aggressive. Too little of this life element, and we got mad. We get mad. Alright? And we'll see more of that when we get to the creation. Now, the last little thing here. Undead. The undead are former mortals who have died, become trapped between life and death. These tragic beings derive power from the necromantic energies that pervade the universe. Most undead are driven by vengeance and hatred to destroy the one thing they can never have again, life. So we see death, hate, and life. In that way. But when you talk to someone of actual death, they kind of have a respect for it. We see a realm of death that has a link to life. It's very interesting. But that's been the cosmology. I read it. If we want to continue this series, I'll start to get into the crazy stuff the Titans do. I can't believe I spent this much time talking about this little intro, so clearly this series will be a lot of yapping about this stuff. A little bit of reading, you know, my takes about how the stuff works, and yeah, the WoW cosmology is crazy. I actually really like it. I want to build a world of my own. I'm trying to do my own thing for worlds. It's very interesting if you think about world building. And I'm not saying WoW's world building is perfect. I'm just saying I like it in all its forms. And I think by the end of The Last Titan, we're going to be seeing some more of this cosmology stuff. For sure. And I definitely think there are a huge link between the elements and the cosmic forces, and even between the cosmic forces themselves, you know, based on, like, how we order things. Are we for growth of life, or are we for destruction? You know? Do we have faith? I don't know what the void one would be sometimes. Like, this is all about madness, anarchy. You know, even though this one is the one of disorder, This one has more madness and whispers in it. But this one's about disorder, but yeah. Let me know what you thought. It's definitely a long one. And I will be reading more of this book, so you will get a read for this book in the series. And then I can maybe do more if y'all like it. It's definitely a long one, I can see. But if you stayed this long, I really appreciate it. And I want to get into more of the Titan creation, so hopefully some of y'all like it. I really freaking blab though. And again, credit to this artist. I didn't know I would just have this on the screen for so long, but it's so good. It's so good. And then maybe if we get to the Grimoire, I can bring up that one and the differences. But even here, look, we just see the connections between all the elements and the forces. You know, even the opposite ones have a connection. But yeah, that's it. Enough blabbing. Thank you for listening to my rant. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.